There have been a series of lawsuits and settlements prior to actually going to court in which the CFPB has held financial institutions accountable for not serving communities of color. Well, here's the secret. You guys have probably already seen on the news and all these sorts of things, the CFPB has essentially, for all intents and purposes, been put out of business. All right? And so what that means is for us, we have to be willing to take on the mantle of being vigilant about what's going on in our communities and holding financial institutions accountable, because there is going to be less oversight at the federal level. But less oversight at the federal level does not mean that all is lost, because what did I just say earlier? Movements are made, they don't just happen. So you have the ability to push and still push for your state regulators, your state attorney generals, to hold institutions accountable, because they have the ability to enforce the law too. Is that right? Yes. All right, so we're going to continue to push at that level to make sure that financial institutions are held accountable. And there's another reason why this matters. The last and most important part is you probably have heard about the executive orders that this administration has put out about diversity, equity, and inclusion. They are an effort to intimidate individuals from being a part of programs that serve an inclusive environment, one that includes opportunities for communities of color or other individuals who may not necessarily be considered the norm. But as Ms. Williams said just earlier, 8 out of 10 net new households in the United States are going to be people of color. And I've got another interesting statistic for you. In the year 2027, the majority of 18 to 29-year-olds in the United States will be minorities, right? And so this is not about serving a traditionally underserved market. This is about the market as a whole. You are not representing the interests of minorities, you are representing the interests of the market and the future of the housing finance system itself. And that is a message that we need now more than ever to make clear to every political party, regardless of their position, that this is the market, that serving consumers of color is serving the financial market, and it is ensuring that the housing system remains strong, because after all, it's 18% of the GDP. All right, so then the last thing that I'm going to tell you about in terms of the views of Washington is your need to reinforce financial institutions and support and uplift those institutions that believe and continue to enforce special purpose credit programs. All right? Because there is a backlash against these institutions, and yes, there have been threats to bring them to court, to try and dissuade them. One of the institutions that you actually have the ability to support in doing that is you can acknowledge JP Morgan Chase, who has said that they would not back down. We need to continue to uplift and support institutions that are acknowledging that they have an obligation to serve the full scope of the market, and that means meeting consumers where they stand. There is nothing discriminatory about that. I can tell you as a former civil rights attorney as well, that the law does not say that you cannot meet the needs of an individual based upon their unique characteristics. And in fact, from a small business lending perspective, we know that that's exactly what you do, right? You meet your business, you meet your community where you stand. So we want to continue to uplift the importance of special purpose credit programs. We want to continue to support institutions that engage in that work, because those are the institutions that are going to create a market and find ways to actually deliver products that address the needs of African American and Latino borrowers in the United States, who are going to be the majority of future homeowners in this country. All right, so with that, I have given you 5 different mandates, I guess, in terms of what's going on in Washington, D.C. But most of all, what I want to tell you is that there is an urgent need for us to all be involved at this very moment. Do not get dissuaded. Do not sit out. Do not go to the wayside as we hear all of these negative commentary, because the If you guys go quiet, we will not be able to withstand the increasing amount of attacks that are happening in the nation's capital. We need you to be active and vigilant, and we know that NAREB has always had a reputation for doing that. So you are the movement makers, and we hope that you continue to do so as we actually change this environment back to an environment that realizes that serving people of color in the housing market is about serving this nation and the greater purpose of our economy as a whole. The American dream belongs to all of us, not just some of us. Thank you.